Well, in this hour, it's time for our Live Well conversation right here on The Move. And today we're speaking about the journey of an amputee. It's one marked by both physical and emotional resilience, and recovery extends beyond the fitting of a prosthetic limb. It demands extensive rehabilitation, physiotherapy, and psychological support. And today we're exploring what it truly means to recover, to rebuild, and to rise again after losing a limb. We're joined by Louisa Brown, who's a Netcare Rehabilitation Hospital, from the Netcare Rehabilitation Hospital. She's here in our studios. She works with quite a number of amputees, and she herself is an amputee as well. And she's here to let us know about the experiences she's been through, and of course, what it really means to go through that recovery process. Louisa, thank you so much for coming to our studios and joining us.
Thank you for having me, Palesa.
You are gorgeous,
Benjamin.
by the way.
Thank you. Have you seen the leg?
I have, and I'm like, it also looks good.
That's like the show stuff.
Actually, I didn't even notice it. Yeah.
But that's the idea.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So thank you for once again for coming to our studios. Let's find out a little bit more about your story, how you ended up being an amputee, and of course, how your life has changed from then.
Okay, so my life changed when I was in a motor vehicle accident way back in 2002. So I have 23 years experience.
Okay.
Wow.
As being an amputee. So the journey was in the beginning very, as you rightfully said, it's quite a progress that I had to adapt to. And I mean, mine was trauma. So waking up in a hospital bed and finding out that you don't have a limb anymore is like, wow, your whole life is shattered. I've just been married for 1 year.
Okay.
We were planning on having a family and, just doing what married couples do.
Sure.
And then you just find that, okay, this happened. So where do we do now? You have to start from scratch. So at that time, I didn't really had funding to get a proper prosthetic leg. So that was one of my challenges.
Sure.
I had to deal with the emotions. I had to deal with the psychology behind it. And then obviously just taking it step by step and then grow from there. And so what you see here is hard work that I had to put in over the years. And then eventually you'll see the fruit. You'll bear the fruits of it.
How is that? I mean, you wake up the next morning, hey, there's something missing. And it's a very critical body part, which is your leg, right? How do you process it? And after finding out that, and you spoke about that trauma, how do you deal with accepting that, okay, this is the new me?
So for me personally, I think my upbringing, if you take it into a psychological setting, the data that I had helped a lot. So my mental data, if I can call it that.
Sure.
So I had family, I had peer support, I had a strong Christian upbringing.
Wonderful.
So that helped a lot.
Yeah.
And then obviously just coming to grips with the initial shock of you lost a limb. That was like, it was tragic. And obviously I had to make adjustments. It was one day at a time, literally. You're in a hospital where you get people taking care of you. You have a nurse 24 hours. You have people checking up on you, blood pressure. You okay, Mrs. Brown, this, that. And then you get sent home. And that's where you really have to now deal with the little demons, if I can call it that. Mentally, you don't sleep.
Yes.
You wake up with night sweats. You wake up because it was trauma.
Okay.
So then actually realizing that I needed psychological help, I needed emotional assistance, but then it was also just a matter of let's just start, assess it, and then see where we can start and then move forward.
And let's continue speaking about that adjustment process, because I feel like, as we are, when we're born with all our limbs and everything attached, we might take them for granted, right? We take for granted the use of our hands. We take for granted the use of our legs and, how they actually help us be in everyday life. And when you lose that immediately, there is that sense that, oh my goodness, I've taken for granted something that really needed, and I didn't realize how much of an effect it had in my life. And so the adjustment of doing things so differently in everyday life, but also maybe needing assistance that you might not have needed before that.
True, yes. And that is, that it affects you like physically having to become independent again.
Yeah.
That's like a major role. For women, it's completely different because there's the whole, it's my look. I was climbing the corporate ladder at the time, so it's body image.
Sure.
It's my self-image. It's, will I be able to get up and stand, just walk around, just doing basic daily life activities.
Yeah.
So these things was obviously that I had to learn how to do from scratch. So before the prosthetic leg came, I had to walk on crutches.
Okay.
So it's little things like making up the bed.
Yeah.
I give myself a little tap on the shoulder.
Nice.
Going to the bathroom, being able to brush my hair, being able to, standing. Obviously, I was a very active person.
Yeah.
I was active in sports.
Okay.
I was going to prepare to run the Comrades. And I had all these plans, and all these things that I thought, I was going to succeed in. But it's not possible. It's going to take you a long time to get there again. So the challenges of just getting up every morning, remembering, okay, this is what happened. What are you going to do with that? Do you have the data? Do you have the faith? Do you have that, self-confidence, that courage that you need? And not all amputees have that, unfortunately. And that's what we see on a daily basis.
Let's talk a little bit about how society also describes amputees, because when we were introducing you earlier on, before you came in, I was speaking about how we at times don't understand that not all amputees are disabled. And that's a misperception that we have. Yes, there's some amputees that are disabled, there's some that aren't.
Yeah, definitely. I think when you look at the amputees, the reason for the amputation, so if it's vascular, if it was like diabetes, so that they have a critical or a health issue that they still need to take care of along with the amputation. So that can be very hard on them to make sure that their tablets and medication and whatever they're taking, and then still at the same time being a recovering amputee.
Yeah.
So that can actually be draining on one person per se. But for society, people looking at me, I would like to bring awareness wherever I go. So you'll always see me in a shorts, or you'll always see me in a skirt. And it's really not for the attention, but it's just so that people see, I just awaken something in them. And hopefully we can spark a conversation. I know when I walk in the malls, mummies with their kiddies, kids are amazing.
Yes,
Kids
especially
are
because they're
awesome.
so honest and they just say whatever.
They do, and
Yeah.
they look and they want to approach, and then the mummy's like,
Yeah,
go,
yeah.
go,
They're
kind of
unfiltered,
thing. And
right?
I'm like, no, leave the kids. I'm here to educate.
Sure.
So let them come, let them ask, let them feel, so that at that age at least they start to recognize, all right, there are people who walk around without limbs or with a prosthetic leg.
Yeah, Luz, I asked that question because right now you are not disabled, right?
Not at
Because
all.
you can walk like the rest of us. Do you think there should be more understanding around that?
There should be. There should be just educating kids from a younger age,
Sure.
educating families, educating your communities, and then the main people, the amputees, just letting them know it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
When we walk around the hospital, when we meet new amputees, just looking at me is like, you can already see the face light up. So, it's like, okay, there you go.
Yeah.
You look like me.
You're
We spark
fine.
a conversation.
Sure.
So
Yes.
I'll be okay. Of course, there's things that they need to deal with, which we gladly take them with, because at the hospital, there's a multidisciplinary team that walks the road with them.
Yeah.
So we try and make it as easy for them, but at the end of the day, it's totally up to them.
And I want to be speaking about that other side of your journey, right? You have walked your own journey, as you said, which was difficult for you. But I mean, look at you now. But now you also work with amputees. And when you walk towards someone who is in the same position you were when you were 25 and just woke up and you realize that you don't have a limb, there is a little bit of a hopelessness that might be there for that particular person, and you have to sort of deal with that on a daily basis. How do you engage people who are, freshly amputated and they still have a lot to go through as well, and you want to be there to be, a sense of light in their lives?
So it's a sensitive topic
Yeah.
for most of them, the majority of them. Because from, I would say, just assessing them, would be obviously at first glance, you can hear already. Are you hopeless? Have you given up? Or, do you want a prosthetic leg? But it's not just a matter of fitting you with a prosthetic leg. There's work that needs to go into that. Because your fitting, first of all, needs to be comfortable. So there's a lot that goes into that. That's when you need your prosthetist or your orthotist. And these guys need to make sure that fitting is good, your socket, everything that you have, your components in that area.
Yeah.
And so just assessing them at first, so like I said, very sensitive depending on where their mind is, because losing a limb, you go through a grieving stage as well. So just trying to figure out, okay, as an amputee, where are you now? So having that conversation, making small talk, and then eventually going in deeper, where I'm like, I'm available if you need to talk, because when we start speaking, then obviously lights go on, questions come, and it's like, okay, but then this, okay, and then Louisa, tell me that, and then Louisa, how do you, little things like, do you take it off when you go to the toilet, kind of thing, do you, so it's like deep, it's personal things that everyone's struggling with. And, unfortunately or fortunately, I'm the only one who can speak to them on that level. So sometimes we keep it surface, sometimes there's others we just dive in and we go in. And then for me, at the end of the conversation, as long as I've shed light, as long as I've brought motivation and encouragement, and as long as you can see, no, anything is possible. Maybe with a little adaptation here, maybe we need to just change our lifestyle a little bit around. But there's hope at the end of the day.
All right, we're speaking to patient liaison officer at the Netcare Rehabilitation Hospital, Louisa Brown, who is joining us in studio today. And we're trying to break some of the myths around amputees and how do they navigate life, but also more importantly, how do we also change the way we see amputees? It's such an important way to have this conversation with someone who has actually experienced it. Stay with us. We'll continue the conversation after the break.
Are you fluent in French, Chinyanja, Portuguese, and Kiswahili? Are you passionate about radio? And are you looking to work in South Africa? Do you have papers that qualify you to work in South Africa? In that case, we might have an opportunity for you to work for Channel Africa. Send us your CV and demo at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Remember, if you don't hear from us within 14 days, it means you have not made it or you have not been selected. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Palesa and Benjamin, fuel your day with fresh African perspective on Channel Africa.
All right, it's 22 minutes past 11 o'clock Central African time. We've got a studio guest today who's joining us in the Auckland Park studios. Actually, you're not stationed far away. You're just here at the Netcare in the building behind us. And we're speaking to our guest on this wonderful conversation on amputees. How do we see them? How do they adjust? But also, how do you actually live even beyond the stereotypes? We're speaking to patient liaison officer Louisa Brown, who is an amputee as well, but she works with patients at the Netcare Rehabilitation Hospital. I mean, how did that happen, that transition from helping others? Because you were someone who was experiencing this yourself. I nearly said you were a victim, that's the language, but like, let's talk a little bit about that transition, moving from actually experiencing it and say, actually, I want to be part of the change.
Yes. So, okay, I have a very interesting history. So, somehow between giving birth, having a prosthetic leg. So I gave birth to twins a year after I lost my leg. And then having to go through that, and then having two gorgeous little babies, wanting gorgeous photos of them. Got out of a camera. Took some pictures. No, this isn't working for me. Let's go for photography course. Go there, fall in love with photography. Okay, let's do this. Sure. At the same time, I'm in the corporate world. I'm back there. Okay, so luckily they're financing it without knowing it. So going into the corporate field, still busy with the road accident fund assessment, getting that, because that can be a long, a daunting process. But getting to the point where everything's finalized, I could be paying for prosthetic legs. So that was about 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. But in that 3 years, I had to fund it myself.
Okay.
So my very first prosthetic leg was awful, but I pushed through.
Okay.
I had to make it
What was
work.
awful about it?
So the fit, first of all.
Okay.
And it was what I could afford.
Yeah.
So, I just had to, it's like, okay, that's fine. I went to the orthotist. I'm like, yes, a few money that I have.
Yeah.
Do something
Give me
with
something.
it.
Yeah.
And he was like, a shame, this poor girl. Okay, let's get something, put it on,
So
and there you go.
Is it something like that? Because it does money factor into getting a good prosthetic.
It does. Finances play a very big role. Funding is it's a major role. So with me, luckily, RAF, as much as they have their own things, the minute you are secured and you have an undertaking, minus 100%, so they cover, all accident-related
Sure.
issues. So with your funding, your medical aid and all of that, you can get cover. Unfortunately, if you're in government hospital or in the private sector, a little bit difficult because there's a wait list there. Patients don't get fitted at all sometimes.
Yeah.
And some of them give up hope.
Yes.
So by the time they do get fitted, they've already lost what we give them at the rehabilitation hospital. And that's that first response where we immediately respond to whatever we see is amiss in your life. So holistically, and then going back to the corporate, if you're looking at the public sector, completely different. So it's amputation waiting list. So 2-3 years, whatever the case may be, they get fitted with a prosthesis. Doesn't fit them at all. They just decide, not for me, I'll use the crutches, thank you.
Okay.
So there's like a whole different, if you look at that web,
Yeah.
it's not just because it's not available, there's a shortage, or you need to speak to the person to find out, why do you decide to walk with crutches?
Yeah.
Why do you decide to remain in a
Sure.
wheelchair
Sure.
when there's all these other options?
So I interrupted you there.
Yeah,
You
you
were
did.
still telling us about your transition. Sorry,
Yes.
because I just found
that's
it
fine. No,
interesting. But you can go back and tell us
That's
that
fine.
that
All
transition. Sure.
Yes. So then eventually I ended up at the Netcare Rehabilitation Hospital.
Sure.
We couldn't, the authorities there just did an assessment for road accident fund. And that's Heinrich Rumstel prosthetics. So he then, amazing prosthetist. I went in there with this prosthetic, and he was like, this is not right.
Yeah.
That's just the kind of guy he is. And that's my kind of guy.
Sure.
Because if you see something wrong, he just did. He just fixed. He just put alignment a little bit into place. Say you need that.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, this guy, sounds like he knows what
What
he's
they're
doing.
doing, yeah.
And I was like to the other dude, I'm checking out. I'm going to the Netcare Rehabilitation Hospital, and I've been his patient ever since, probably for about 15 years.
Okay.
And so with my kids going back to school, done with school,
Yes.
going to varsity and all that, I kind of feel a bit bored at home.
Yes.
Because I was the hands-on mom all
Yeah.
these years. And so being at home, I just reached out, and I'm like, when I go for my checkups, he normally asks me to speak to some of the amputees that are there. And I felt that it just came naturally. I'm sure he saw the potential in me as well, how I could can motivate them. And I approached them, and I'm like, I'm at home and I get bored. Photography is there and the other things that I do, but, maybe I can help out at the
Sure.
office. And that's how he said, all right, let's fine. Let's give it a try. We'll give you 3 months try and see how it goes. And it's been a year and almost 2 years.
Oh,
I
that's
love
cool.
that. There is a life that you lived before your amputation and a life afterwards. And what really caught my attention is you giving birth to twins and your children, a year after your amputation. That means that your children only know you as, mother who was amputated, whereas you had a different life before that. Let's speak about that transition, especially with the patients that you speak about, how they have to adjust their past life to their new life. And of course, the new people in their lives will know them exactly as who they are now, and the people that they bump into will know them as the person with an amputation, whereas they know themselves and their past life as something completely different.
Yes, Palesa, that is true, because now the whole family is involved, and something like this affects your family. It's not just you. I've noticed that. So now you have to take care of yourself, and you have to be concerned about how do they see me? And I mean, it's just amazing that my kids, for them, when their friends would ask them, it's like, it's normal.
Yes. Yeah.
I went to crèche with my son one day, and all his friends were there, and he wasn't sure how to handle the situation.
Yeah.
And he was like, Mom, you were wearing the shorts. I'm like, yeah, boy. And he says, so everyone was looking, and the kids asked. I said, just tell them your mom's a robot, dude. And he's like, yeah, all right. So the following day he goes and probably had this cool conversation with the kids. The next day when I went to pick them up, I was like, Trey's mom, Trey's mom, but can you see? And so that kind of thing. So
Sure.
that's me, so I can understand other amputees will have difficulty, and their families and their kids, obviously depending on how old they are. But most of the amputees I see do have their family support. We do make them aware that Rehabilitation Hospital do have their family meetings, getting all the key players involved. So you do need that peer support support, and you do need your children and that too. But I think also it's once again how the amputee sees themselves.
Yeah.
So it's how I see myself, and that I will give off to whoever looks at me. I want to make you feel comfortable. I want my family to be included. I want to, like, now I WhatsApp everyone, guys, I'm here, so everyone's tuning in.
Oh,
right
lovely.
now.
Yeah.
So we're all watching and we're all cheering kind of thing. And so that's sort of like the energy that you bring to the table, and I think your kids and your family will feed off that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll have to wrap it up there. We've run out of time. Thank you so much for coming in, Louisa. I know, 20 minutes feels like 2 minutes when you're on radio, but it was such a pleasure to chat to you. You really do lighten up a room. I can imagine how beneficial you are where you work. That's Louisa Brown, patient liaison officer who works with amputees at the Netcare Rehabilitation Hospital right here in Auckland Park, South Africa.